It seems as if you have a new rival. This is the perfect opportunity to show the world why you belong in this sport. And to show me why you belong amongst my very exclusive clientele. That's a joke. I love working with you.
It's all about flow and pace today, qualifying in Qatar. A high-speed test that will set the grid for tomorrow's race. So welcome along.
And that's P13, P13.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? We're back here in Losail for a track that's 3.34 miles long. There are 16 turns around its unique three-pronged shape and just a single DRS zone out of turn 16. It's fast and it's flowing, and there's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS down the long straight and into turn 1. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And the engineer completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Russell, Albon, Sainz, Stroll, Hamilton, Gasly, Bottas, Joe, Sargent, Norris, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Ocon, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out. And striding into our commentary box to join us today, the man, the myth, the legend, Anthony Davidson. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. Now, I'll be generous here. It's not that long ago that you were racing and entertaining us on a Sunday, but in the years since, the sport has changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has, Crofty. You know, the cars have got bigger, they're heavier, but critically, there's more downforce to play with as well now. There was around 4 tons of downforce on the car at 300 kilometres an hour when I drove. You're now looking more towards 5 tons of downforce. So there, you know, there's a big difference in performance. But because of that, the car being heavier and bigger, you've got to drive in a smoother way. You've got to look after it a bit more. You've got to nurse it through the slow-speed corners more. They were much more nimble, agile machines when I drove in Formula 1 compared to now.
Okay, so no, we've already won the championship, and it's amazing, but it's not time to switch off yet. We can relax in this race, but I want you to enjoy it. I also want a strong result. DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone. Use your overtake button more. It's time to utilise some of this energy. Come on. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Okay, clear. Okay, red flag, mate, red flag. No overtaking, please. We'll see you in the pit lane. a nice advantage here. Let's have a think about how we handle the rest of this race. Right. Again. Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race. DRS has been enabled, DRS is now enabled. Green flag. Good job, that was the fastest lap of the race so far. Gap to your teammate behind, 1.8 seconds. Okay, you've just started the final lap of the race. Final lap.
Guys, thank you so much. You've been great all weekend. To everyone back in the factory, on the pit wall, you've been amazing.
Well, that's an end to the sprint action. Next up, we'll set the grid for the Grand Prix. So we'll see you next time.